Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. I am here today with Dr. Anshul Gupta. Dr. Anshul Gupta is a best-selling author, speaker, researcher, and world expert in Hashimoto's disease. He educates people worldwide on reversing Hashimoto's disease. He is a board-certified family medicine physician with an advanced certification in functional medicine, peptide therapy, and also fellowship trained in integrative medicine. He has worked in the prestigious Cleveland Clinic Department of Functional Medicine with Dr. Mark Hyman. He has helped thousands of patients to reverse their health issues by using the concepts of functional medicine. He has also appeared on several media outlets, including Newsmax TV, Mind Body Radio, Dr. Mandy Show, and various publications such as Reader's Digest, Women's World, and Yahoo Lifestyle. And today we talked about why he was inspired to write the book, Reversing Hashimoto's. He explained what Hashimoto's disease is and how it affects the thyroid gland, how common Hashimoto's disease is, and who is at most risk for developing it, what the common symptoms are or signs of you having Hashimoto's disease, and how Hashimoto's is typically diagnosed. And also we talked about natural therapies or how diet and lifestyle can affect and be therapeutic in helping to reverse Hashimoto's disease, how long it would take for a patient to see results from trying some of these therapies, and the advice that Dr. Anshul gives anyone who's struggling to manage this disease. It was so great, so good, so many good tips. I really enjoyed my time with Dr. Anshul and was very impressed how he worked alongside Dr. Mark Hyman, one of my faves. So without further ado, let's dive into this episode with Dr. Anshul Gupta. I'm excited to welcome Dr. Anshul Gupta to the Sisterhood of Sweat today.
Thank you so much, Linda, for having me on the show. You are doing an amazing work, sharing all this great information with folks and getting them healthy. So it's a privilege for me to be here and sharing information.
Oh, thank you so much. The pleasure's all ours today because I'm really excited to have you on, such an expert, a researcher, somebody that really knows their stuff in the world of medicine. And how did you get into writing this book on reversing Hashimoto's?
Yeah, so actually, by training, I'm a regular family physician. But just a couple of years into my family medicine practice, I started having my own health struggles. I started gaining weight. I was being tired all the time. I was brain foggy, and at the end of the day, I was having a lot of gut problems, acid reflux and pain in my gut. And I could not figure out what was going on with me. I tried taking medications, nothing got better. I saw different specialists, did tons of testing, but nothing was showing up on them. So I was kind of stuck at that point and was without hope of what to do next. That's where I found functional medicine, functional medicine, the root cause of the medicine, which can help me to figure out where the issues were. I got certified into functional medicine model of care, found the root cause of my problems, made a lifestyle change plan, change how I eat, how I process stress, what kind of exercising I do. Within 1 month, my stomach pain was gone. Within 6 months, I was able to lose 40 pounds. I had tons of energy in my life, as well as, my brain capacity improved significantly. So that's where I decided that I need to dedicate my life to help people who had similar issues as mine. So then the opportunity came actually to work at the Cleveland Clinic, a functional medicine department alongside Dr. Mark Hyman. And then when I joined the department, I was seeing all these middle-aged females with very similar symptoms as mine. They were all gaining weight, they were all brain foggy, they were all tired, and they were all taking medications for their thyroid, but still not getting better. So I started researching more and I realized that all of these thyroid patients had actually Hashimoto's thyroiditis going on with them. And then I researched more about this topic and realized there was like a lot of root causes that was playing a role in Hashimoto's disease. So I made a 3-step program to kind of help all of these females, applied that program in thousands of females, and all of them got their life back. Their thyroid got better. So that's where I decided I need to write a book about it so that people can know that there is a way out of Hashimoto's disease and they can improve their life, they can improve their disease process as well as get their thyroid better.
So can you explain for the audience, or those that don't know, what Hashimoto's disease is, how it affects the thyroid gland, and who is at the most risk for developing it?
Absolutely. So several people have been diagnosed with what they know as low thyroid or hypothyroidism, but they don't know the real reason of their hypothyroidism. And what research suggests is that 70 to 80% of people who currently have hypothyroidism, the real reason is Hashimoto's disease. So Hashimoto's disease is actually an autoimmune condition of your thyroid gland where your body starts producing antibodies, and these antibodies starts a very slow destruction of your thyroid gland. And this destruction can take weeks to months to years sometimes to show up on the lab results. Because most common lab results which females are getting when they go to the doctor is just TSH, which is the thyroid stimulating hormone, which is only checking if their body is producing enough thyroid hormone or not. So that's where they get diagnosed with low thyroid hormone, and the only treatment they are given is levothyroxine. But what they don't know is that nobody is doing this. Medicine is not doing anything for the underlying process of autoimmunity, which is destroying their thyroid gland. So it is very important to work on the autoimmune process to save your thyroid gland. So females are the most common people who get, like Hashimoto's disease, especially middle-aged females from 30 to 65 years of age. But now we are seeing that even younger females are getting thyroid disorder, especially Hashimoto's disease. So it is very important to have a very high index of suspicion to see if you do have Hashimoto's disease. And first of all, it's very important to get the right testing, because most commonly the TSH that people are getting when they go to the regular doctors is not checking for Hashimoto's disease.
Now, how common is Hashimoto's disease?
So Hashimoto's disease is the most common autoimmune condition world over. So it is very, very common. Millions of people currently in United States itself have Hashimoto's disease. And the unfortunate part is that most of those people don't even know they have this disease because they have not been checked by the regular doctors.
What type of tests should we take? Since I think most, when you go to your general practitioner, they're not checking for everything.
That is true. So as I told that, whenever somebody goes, to the general practitioner to get their thyroid checked, the only test they're getting is TSH, which is not checking for Hashimoto's. Now, what people don't know is that the same blood work that is being drawn for the thyroid can be used to check for Hashimoto's disease. And they only need to check for 2 antibody levels. One antibody is called TPO, which is the thyroid peroxidase antibody. And the second one is called thyroglobulin antibodies. So this is a blood test. Each and every lab, does this a blood test so they can easily get it tested. And if any of these antibody levels are higher than the reference range for that particular lab, that means people have Hashimoto's disease. So it's a simple lab test that can be combined with a regular blood draw and can be done with any labs. So easy test that everybody should get done.
Now, how can you tell without the test, like if you were going by your symptoms, besides weight gain, what are other symptoms that point to you having Hashimoto's?
So Hashimoto's disease comes with a host of symptoms. And that's the major problem, that it doesn't have only one or two symptoms. So the symptoms can range from having hair issues like hair thinning or hair fall, or having gut related symptoms like constipation, diarrhea, bloating issues. Then having menstrual issues, irregular menstrual periods or heavy menstrual periods, or even issues with infertility problems. Then having, cold intolerance is also a very major problem with Hashimoto's disease. Skin issues, feeling dry skin, having hives on the skin, having eczema problems. And then, like obviously weight gain is a major problem. Brain fog is another major problem. That, a lot of females with Hashimoto's disease, like all of these host of symptoms can happen to them.
What were your main symptoms when you had this?
So my main symptom was again like, weight gain, and then along with that gut issues. So those were my main symptoms, and then slightly brain fog along with that also.
So you took a different approach from most every physician out there. I like physician heal thyself. You basically figured out a natural approach to heal and take care of your problem. How did you go about this, and how long does it take to begin reversing your Hashimoto's?
So, for me, it was a long journey, because for me, I had to figure things out on my own, because there are very few, even functional medicine doctors who completely specialize in Hashimoto's disease. So I had to first, like, uncover what was the secret, what was the reason people are getting Hashimoto's disease. So I found like several root causes that play a role in Hashimoto's disease. And these are like 5 main categories of root causes, and each and every person has different category of root causes that might be playing a role. So I found my category of root causes, then I made a plan to address all of those root causes, and then things started getting better. Now, it can take anywhere from 4 to 6 months for people to start seeing a difference, and getting better. Now, one of the major things which happens with Hashimoto's disease and thyroid issues is that several people who have been taking medications called levothyroxine for it, even after taking the medicine, their symptoms do not get better. There was a research study done, and it showed that 60% and more of people, even after taking the medicine, even though their lab work showed that their thyroid was within the normal limit, still continue to have symptoms. So those are the folks, that definitely should try to kind of, seek an alternative approach, because their quality of life is affected. They are not able to reach their highest health potential. So I think finding their root cause and making these changes will definitely help these people at least to get their life back.
Now, let's say you're suffering from adrenal fatigue and you have gut issues. Can this then can this also affect your thyroid?
Absolutely. So what I call is that, like our body is not like divided into different organ systems. It's all connected, right? And especially our endocrine system, all the different hormones in our body are kind of part of a symphony, right? These are different instruments in the symphony. And if one instrument is affected, the whole symphony gets affected. So if your adrenals are not working, then definitely it directly affects your thyroid. If thyroid is not working properly, then it affects your adrenal. So it's a two-way street or a two-way connection which is happening. Similar with the gut, we know that leaky gut or gut problems are the first thing which starts the autoimmune process, and that is linked to Hashimoto's disease. So you see, there is like a lot of connection between each other, which definitely happens.
What are some things you recommend also, I think people don't know they have leaky gut a lot of the time. So this is a twofold question. What do you recommend to help people heal their leaky gut, and how do they know they have one?
So leaky gut, again, can sometimes have symptoms, and sometimes people don't have symptoms. So the typical symptoms would be like, again, gut related, that, people will have constipation, diarrhea, bloating, stomach cramping, or they will be having a lot of food sensitivities that as soon as they will eat certain foods, they will react to it. So these will be the most common symptoms of leaky gut. But now we have a test that can check for leaky gut. It's called a zonulin test. It's a stool test. So in your stool, you can actually check the levels of zonulin. It was actually a very recent research study, probably like 10 years ago, which was done, like with these zonulin molecules will release. It's a chemical which is released once you have leaky gut, right? So basically to understand what is leaky gut, is saying that our gut is lined with like trillions of cells, right? And, they are very well connected with each other. And like the leaky gut, these junction between the cells becomes leaky or they get separated. So once they get separated, they release this molecules called zonulin, which can be checked, and then kind of show whether people have leaky gut or not. So along with the symptoms, that's a test that people can get. Now, what can people do to improve leaky gut? So first of all, obviously, I'm a very big proponent of lifestyle changes because I think lifestyle is the cornerstone of each and everything. So improving your diet, removing food which is bad for your gut, like all these inflammatory foods, like processed food, fast food. And in certain situations, gluten and dairy might also be causing inflammation to the gut, and people might have to remove those things. If you're sensitive to certain foods, then again, removing them initially might also be useful for that. And then introducing food which is healing for your gut. All the food which is green leafy vegetables or these colorful non-starchy vegetables, good quality proteins like chicken, fish, turkeys, good quality fats like avocados, nuts and seeds, olive oil, all those things can support the leaky gut. Beyond that, obviously, we have supplements which can support the leaky gut, can help improve it, like L-glutamine, is a great supplement. A lot of people use that. And again, that can help with the leaky gut.
I take that. Also for that reason, I know there's a lot of things that I have a product that I take that has a lot of things in it to help if you have leaky gut. Because I thought, well, what can it really hurt? Let's say you don't know for sure that you have it, but you bloat and you have all these symptoms. I kind of looked at it from the thing, what could it hurt to do things that would repair a leaky gut just in case I had one. And I love that you said L-glutamine, because that also keeps you from being as sore when you weight train and you exercise. So you say basically that diet and lifestyle can help reverse the disease?
That's one piece of it for sure. Like diet and lifestyle alone sometimes doesn't reverse the whole disease. But I think that's a very good starting point for almost each and every person to kind of improve their diet, improve their lifestyle. And then after they have done that, then going to an advanced level of maybe working on toxins, working on chronic infections, working on their immunity. Those are other aspects which I think are a little bit more advanced. And that's where you need a help with a health professional who can kind of work on those things. But I think starting with a diet is a great option. Working on your stress management by reducing stress, doing those meditation, deep breathing exercises, rebalancing your adrenals. Those are great things to start with. And then obviously an exercise program, right? That get that body moving because that reduces inflammation, right? So any body movement is great. Walking, jogging, running, strength training, whatever works with your body, is very important to include these things. So I think these are definitely a cornerstone that everybody should start with. And that definitely will help, in their quality of life, will definitely help improve their thyroid also.
Can we feed our thyroid to help make it healthy? Like what kind of supplements or natural therapies could we use to play a role in reversing Hashimoto's?
So let's actually start with food itself, right? So the thyroid needs several vitamins and minerals to produce thyroid hormone. Everybody knows one mineral, which is the iodine, right? Iodine is the kind of, basis of producing thyroid hormone. Beyond that, there are other minerals which are needed, like selenium, like zinc, which are needed for, the proper conversion of the inactive thyroid hormone to the active thyroid hormone. And then we need magnesium also, again, for proper functioning of the thyroid gland. So all of these minerals are needed, right? So food can provide these minerals also. Like obviously for iodine, we can get iodine-rich food like seafood, sea vegetables, iodized salt. Those are all good sources. For selenium, we have Brazil nuts, which are great source, of providing selenium. Then zinc comes from all different kinds of meat products, like seafood, lobsters, oysters, and then obviously your meat. If you're not a meat eater, then legumes, lentils, nuts and seeds, again, those have zinc in them. Now, magnesium is a little bit difficult to get from food itself because our food is low in magnesium. So for that, sometimes, we need supplementation. So I think starting from those foods are great, but then taking all of these different supplements, like as you discussed, like I don't recommend iodine supplementation actually, because iodine actually is a two-edged sword. Too little of iodine can cause Hashimoto's, but too much of iodine can also cause Hashimoto's.
That's
And
what I
this
was
is
going to ask. Yeah. Can you get too much?
Yes. So that's the reason a lot of people, like again, buying these thyroid supplements over the counter or online, and they have like just tons and tons of iodine, and they are actually harming their thyroid instead of helping it. So research is very clear about it. So that's the reason for the iodine. I kind of push for the food sources of it so that we get some, but not much. But for the other things, I think taking supplementation could be useful, especially for magnesium. Magnesium is those master wonderful mineral, but which is needed for more than 300 enzymatic processes in our body, not only for thyroid, for more than another 300 things. And so it's so great that we should all be taking magnesium supplementation, and it has so many different forms of it, and depending on what people are going through, like magnesium supplementation can be wonderful.
If you take too much, it just comes right back out anyway, right?
Yes, that's a good part about magnesium, at least that,
Yeah.
we don't have a toxic dose of magnesium as yet, because we use very high dose of magnesium actually for a lot of different emergency situations, even in emergency room. So that's a safe bet about the magnesium. Now, it's not the same with selenium and zinc, though. Selenium and zinc, you can reach toxic levels if you take very, very high doses of those. So for those, it is very important to take the right dose or the right quantity of those. But for the magnesium, at least we don't have a toxic dose over there.
What other ways can we get selenium other than Brazil nuts? Is there any other foods that you would recommend?
So we don't have a lot of food sources, but some nuts and seeds, again, like do have a selenium in them. Some vegetables also have some selenium in them, but again, not so much. And the problem is that selenium actually comes in different forms in different foods, especially when people are on a plant-based diet. The form of selenium in those foods is not very easy to absorb from them. So that kind of becomes a challenge, in people who are vegan or vegetarian. And that's the reason we see like a selenium deficiency in them. So again, doing a healthy diet can give you enough selenium, by eating different kind of vegetables, different kind of nuts and seeds, and also like kind of adding some meat products. But still you might be low, especially if you do have Hashimoto's disease.
Oh, okay. Now, when we have, Hashimoto's and we start doing your natural therapies from your book, how long does it take to start seeing the benefits? Like let's say somebody really has brain fog, and I've seen this in clients where they have it very severely, where they went from being very sharp to just very like they can't remember, they're just having this brain fog in the afternoon. And I know they want to get rid of that. And so like what type of things can they do and how long does it take?
So when people have brain fog, three things come into my mind. First of all, their gut is not working. And that's the reason they are not able to absorb all the nutrients from the food.
Okay.
The second thing which is not working is their mitochondria. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because as you know that the brain has the highest concentration of mitochondria, and mitochondria again needs a lot of nutrients to function. So that is not working. And the third thing is toxins. The reason all of these things are not working is that they have too much of toxins in their body, whether it is the heavy metals or the mold toxins, which is hijacking their mitochondria, which is destroying the gut and causing the leaky gut. And that's the reason it is causing it. So I think starting with the diet is very important, like where again, including foods, which again reduce inflammation in the body and give nutrients. But beyond that, working on the mitochondria is very, very helpful in people with brain fog symptoms. So now the brain fog is definitely difficult to kind of get better. It takes time for it to get better. But I think 6 to 8 weeks, if people follow things, like by doing the diet, then
Mhm.
doing the stress management techniques and taking certain supplements, their brain fog can get better. For brain fog specifically, omega-3 fatty acids works wonders. Like, so taking high dose of omega-3 fatty acids from a good source can definitely support their brain health and can again help with the brain fog symptoms. Reducing stress and working on the stress is another very important aspect which helps with the brain fog, because those adrenals, again, are taxed out when you have brain fog. So again, very important, that can be very helpful. Curcumin is another supplement which again helps with the brain activity and can help, with
Oh,
the brain
perfect.
fog.
It's great for inflammation too.
Exactly.
Love,
So these
love
are
it.
all things that people can do. But, as again, these things don't work in a day or two. So 6 to 8 weeks, give yourself that amount of time and incorporate all of these things. And then definitely people can improve the brain fog.
Now, I have a question. Is inflammation part of the Hashimoto's? Like, is that kind of go hand in hand with the thyroid problem?
Absolutely. Yes. That autoimmune process that we are talking about is the other name of inflammation, which is raising crazy high in people with Hashimoto's disease. And all of these symptoms, which I told you about Hashimoto's, is actually the problem of inflammation. The
Mm.
inflammation destroys the hair
Oh,
follicle. That's the reason people get this hair thinning. Inflammation causes leaky gut. That's where all the gut related symptoms happen, right? Inflammation destroys your adrenal gland, and that's the reason you feel tired. Inflammation destroys the mitochondria, and that's the reason people are not able to lose weight and they get brain foggy. So inflammation definitely is a major problem. And the worst part is that the medicine, the levothyroxine, is not doing anything to control this inflammation. And that's the exact reason that people continue to have symptoms even after taking the medicine. And all of the things that we discussed, like the diet, the stress management, the exercising, and the supplements, they are actually working on reducing the inflammation in the body so that the body
okay.
starts, like functioning again.
That makes so much sense. Wow. And I'm ready to order the supplements I was out of. Because you're like each one was you were nailing them as we went along, and I wasn't taking them for 10 days because I'm doing a fitness competition and I was just going to cut all supplements out, but I already missed them. I've already felt the difference, and I was like, oh my gosh, listening to you, I'm like, no, I can't do without. um what type of supplements do you recommend for people, the natural therapies, to help them with the Hashimoto's?
Yeah, so we actually, there are obviously a lot of supplements that people can take, like, but again, like it becomes very challenging to take too many supplements at a time. So I think, like, a thyroid blend supplements are nice, which have a combination of selenium, zinc, magnesium into them. So those are great supplements to start off with. Then vitamin D is a very vital supplement. Almost everybody is deficient in vitamin D unless you are living in Florida and then, doing sunbathing all the time. You will be low in vitamin D. So make sure you're getting your levels checked, and taking good dose of vitamin D is very important. Then comes the magnesium, as I said, like high dose of magnesium can be very, very useful to support the thyroid gland. Then omega-3 fatty acids, because they reduce inflammation and again support the work of the thyroid gland. Then something to support your adrenals is also very important, like, either ashwagandha, either
I
rhodiola,
take that.
any of those. Yeah. So those are great supplement because they support the adrenals. And again, once they support the adrenals, they obviously improve the thyroid gland also. So I think these are the basic supplements which I think can help majority of the thyroid patients and can help improve them. But again, like always recommend making sure that, either your health practitioner
I don't know what happened. You are frozen. I'll stop the video for a second until you come back, I think. Our internet went a little wacky there. Excuse us. What were you saying, Anshul?
So the supplements, like I always want to let people know, it is very important that, you should talk to your healthcare providers, like based on your situation, what supplements are right and in what quantities. So that's also very important. The second thing is also the quality of the supplements, because people go, like on the local stores, and buy supplements, which might be at a very discounted price. But a lot of these supplements can have fillers in them, can have lower quantity of ingredients, and that can actually harm things. The reason I say that is I have seen people like, very often that, they have bought thyroid related supplements, like from over the counter, and suddenly their actually thyroid numbers got worse. Because what I've noticed is that a lot of these thyroid supplements add tons and tons of iodine into it, and they don't even tell people about it, because they tell them there's a natural ingredients, and all of those natural ingredients can actually harm the body. So these are some tips and bits, like, people should be knowing the insider truths about the supplements. So make sure you're getting good quality and you know that those are good for your body also.
Yeah, I mean, it is so important that you put in clean products in your body and you understand what the words mean on your labels, because so many things can be in your product that you really don't necessarily want to have in your body. So I like that you're telling people, make sure your products and they're not all created equal. Supplements are not all created equal. Make sure you're putting quality supplements and fuel in your body. So important.
Exactly. And sometimes, they can even have toxins. Like the most common supplement a lot of people are taking is this fish oil supplement. And what I was noticing initially was that, a lot of people are taking these fish oil supplements when we were checking their mercury levels, and they were crazy high. And they were not even eating fish. And a lot of people think that fish is a major source of mercury, or like, having like amalgams, like fillings, and they had none of those things. And I was totally confused. And I realized that all of these fish oil supplements they were taking, they might also have mercury because they're not being tested for it. So then I changed my supplement line to using supplements, or especially fish oil supplements, who do check themselves for mercury. And then once we remove their mercury from detoxification, obviously the mercury levels go low. So it is very important that people are aware that fish oil supplements can have mercury in them too.
Because that alone, I know from personal experience, because I had heavy mercury toxicity at one point, and that alone could slow your thyroid down, just having a high mercury toxicity in your body.
That is true. Absolutely true. We do have, research studies which suggests that mercury exposure at very low levels over the course of time can actually, cause thyroid problems and slow your thyroid and doesn't let it function, because thyroid gland is like a sponge. Any amount of mercury that enters your body directly starts getting deposited around your thyroid gland. And then over the course of time, it can reach toxic level for your thyroid and attack your thyroid and destroy it. So it is very important that people should know that even low doses can do that.
Now, are there any potential side effects or risks associated with the natural therapies that you recommended?
So some side effects are when people start doing things at advanced level on their own, like especially for detoxification. Whenever we talk about heavy metals or other toxins, people go online and start buying these detox products and start using it without understanding that the detox can be harmful for their body. So that's the only caution that I've let people know, is that when you're buying something online, especially I'm very cautious about detox, because again, I have seen like, clients which got actually worse after they detoxify their body on their own, because detoxification has 3 different steps that needs to be done. And most people are working on only the first step, which actually can harm their body. So it is very important to work on all the 3 steps so that all the toxins leave your body and doesn't accumulate in your body. So that's the only caution that I tell people, that make sure you know what you're doing.
And I know what you're saying there, because when I got my fillings out, because basically they were under the gum, they used to put them under the gum. So really hard to detect, and it was leaching sulfuric mercury into my bloodstream, which is like highly toxic. And so I went to a biological dentist, where they take it out the right way so that it doesn't go into all your tissues, cells, and organs when they're removing it. And I know if you were doing something like those supplements where you could get them at the store and it's taking up the heavy metals, there again, are you excreting or are you just moving them around in the body, right?
Exactly. That's the important piece, right? Because these heavy metals are not circulating in your bloodstream all the time. They get deposited into the fatty cells of your body. So when people are taking these supplements, what they're doing is that they are getting all of these supplements which are safely stored in the fatty tissues to come out in the blood. But then from the blood, they need to be taken out from the blood outside your body so that they don't affect your body cells. And when people are not doing it, heavy amounts of heavy metals can circulate in the blood and can lead to the destruction of the brain, can actually destroy your mitochondria, can affect your adrenals. So it is very important that not only you are actually bringing the toxins out in the blood, but also eliminating from the blood safely out to outside the body.
So good, so good. This is so informative today. What advice would you give people that are struggling to manage their Hashimoto's, despite they're doing all this medicine and their doctor's putting them on, I don't know, Synthroid or whatever. I don't know all the names for the medicines, but like it's not working. What would you tell them?
I think starting first of all with the lifestyle changes is definitely important. Change your diet, change how you process stress. Look at your lifestyle. So that's definitely the base, of any Hashimoto's recovery process. Beyond that, it is also important to find that root cause or causes, because most people not only have one root cause, they have actually 2+ root causes which are playing a role in Hashimoto's. Now, finding that root cause on your own is a little bit difficult because it can get confusing. So for that, you might have to work with a functional medicine or an integrative medicine doctor who understands this root cause approach, and that can be helpful. And then once you find those root causes, then you make a stepwise plan to address those root causes, and then people can feel better.
So can you share one of your favorite success stories from one of your patients and what strategies you implemented in your book?
Absolutely. So the favorite stories, one of those stories are 34-year-old female, who came to see me with having tons and tons of symptoms. She was diagnosed with Hashimoto's 5 years ago, but even before that, she was still struggling with symptoms. She was having symptoms for more than 10 years. And she will go to the doctor, they will check her TSH, and they will just send her home. And obviously they told her that, well, you just had a pregnancy, you just delivered a baby, so you are a young mother. That's the reason you're having these symptoms. So just go home and just reduce your stress. She tried working on that, nothing was changing. Finally, after 5 years of the struggle, her TSH did show that, it was abnormal. She was started on the medicine, nothing changed. She was gaining weight. She was tired to the point that she had to take a nap during the afternoon just to be functional. Then she was having a lot of gut related symptoms, as soon as she will eat something, she will feel like, a lot of gassiness, a lot of bloating, which was happening, even though she was eating the same food. Then, she was having hair problems, hair thinning and hair falling. All of those things were happening, but nothing was working. So when she came to see us, then we did a complete evaluation on what was going on with her. So we figured out that, she had something called SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. That she had a lot of bad bacteria in her gut, and nobody checked her for that. she also had mold toxin exposure because recently actually she moved houses, and then she actually, for a short amount of time, she was living in a house which was slightly on the older side and
Mm-hmm.
did had a basement which had kind of mold into it. And then she was low in definitely a lot of vitamins and minerals. So then what we did was that we made a stepwise plan. First fix her SIBO, first fix her gut. Then actually we worked on the toxin exposure for her, reduce the toxin exposure, detoxified her body, and then we started healing her body. And within 4 months, her like energy was back to normal. She did not have to take a nap just to function to the whole day. Her bloating was completely gone. She already lost 17 pounds, in these 14 months of working with us. So literally, like the symptom that she was going through for 10 years, within 4 months, she was feeling much better with
Oh,
those.
so great. So great. I bet you have hundreds of success stories.
Absolutely. Yes. Like I've been doing this for a long time. And the good part is that protocol works. So on our website, obviously, people can see a lot of testimonial stories that people share, on the regular basis over there that can definitely give them hope that, they can get better.
So good. And you worked alongside Dr. Mark Hyman. What was that like?
Well, that was phenomenal. I just kind of say that what people learn in 5 to 10 years, just because I worked alongside Mark Hyman, my learning curve was so steep that within a couple of years, I was able to learn a lot of different kind of, complex protocols and how to research this functional medicine stuff, because obviously he's the one who has been with the functional medicine for such a long time, and he has been researching and developing new protocols. So through by working with him, my learning was so kind of top speed, and plus I was able to kind of develop this attitude of how to look at research studies, how to kind of utilize that information which is available through research and make a protocol out of it.
So great. I met him at the Summit of Greatness. He spoke, and I also follow a lot of the things. I agree with a lot of the things he says, because my mentor was Dr. Ann Louise Gittleman, who's written over 30 books on nutrition. And so she really had me up to snuff. And then I like to follow experts such as yourself, and love Dr. Mark Hyman. So I was thrilled to see that you had worked with him. And I've really, really enjoyed talking to you and listening to all of your knowledge, and knowing that there's hope for people out there. Where can everyone find your book and get you on social media?
Absolutely. So the book name is Reversing Hashimoto's, and it is available on major platforms. The easiest way to order, like most people go on Amazon and order it. It is available on Kindle version. You can get a physical book, so easily available through that. We are present in all different social media platforms. Actually, I have a very active YouTube channel. We have like around 22,000 subscribers already over there. And again, we share very small videos about like thyroid health and things. The handle is Anshul Gupta MD. So people can find me on YouTube. The same handle is also on Instagram, where people can follow us over there also.
And people can they work one-on-one with you? I know you're a full-fledged doctor. I mean, you still practice?
That's correct. Yes. So I practice only functional medicine model of care now, kind of help people identify their root cause and then kind of, get them better in that fashion. But yes, we run this virtual functional medicine practice, so people can actually work from wherever they are in the country. We can help them to get the right testing done, to find the root cause, and then make a stepwise plan to fix it. They can go on their website, anshulguptamd.com, and they can find more information of how they can work with me.
Perfect. So thank you so much for coming on and spending your time with us today. And let us know how we can support you. I know everybody, make sure and go get a copy of Anshul's book. Say the name again.
It's called Reversing Hashimoto's.
Make sure to get a copy and give him a review, because that really helps authors to get noticed and more people to buy their books. Thanks again. for listening to this episode of the Sisterhood of Sweat. And thank you, Anshul.
Thank you so much, Linda.
Bye, everyone.